In this video, we'll learn what trauma is, as well as some quick tips to help you start healing from your trauma. So what exactly is trauma? The dictionary defines trauma as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. This can also be called a traumatic event. Trauma is also relative. What may be traumatic to one person could just be another day to someone else. I used to think that trauma had to come from big experiences, like a sexual assault, a natural disaster, or losing someone you love. But I've come to find out in my years of experience that trauma can come from seemingly small experiences, especially if those experiences happened when you were a child. If you would like to see a list of symptoms that correspond with trauma, you can check out the blog post that goes along with this video at thebutterfliesproject.com. Now I have 4 tips to help you start healing from your trauma. The first tip is to exercise. And when I say exercise, I mean anything from like running, walking, biking, anything that gets you moving. The reason why this helps is because it helps burn off adrenaline. This adrenaline may be fueling your anxiety or other trauma-related symptoms. It also helps release endorphins in your brain. These endorphins are what help make you feel happy. You can also add a mindfulness element to this, which means focusing on your body and how it feels as you move. This helps keep you distracted from any harmful thoughts that may be fueling your anxiety and depression. The second tip is don't close yourself off. It's very natural to not want to be around other people when you're going through a traumatic experience. But the very worst thing that you can do when you're going through something is to isolate yourself. So it's the best thing to do is to reach out for support. And this can look like making new friends, reaching out to old friends, or joining a support group. This last one is especially helpful because it puts you in a room full of people who are like-minded and who definitely know what you're going through. And it's a room full of people that will be rooting for you to heal. Tip number 3 is to regulate your nervous system. Now this one sounds complex, but it's actually very simple. The first thing that you can do is mindful breathing. And what that means is to focus on your breathing and count. You count in for 4 as you breathe in, hold it for 4 beats, and then breathe out for 4. And then just focus on that for a few minutes, or as long as you can stand. The counts can be as fast or as slow as you want them to be. This helps get you out of your mindset, and it snaps you back into reality that those thoughts are just thoughts and not necessarily the truth. You can also do this with sensory input. Sensory input means to activate one of your 5 senses with something that makes you feel happy. For me, it's the smell of cinnamon, especially apple cinnamon candles. It just makes me feel cozy and warm and like I'm home. Another thing that helps me is petting my dog. And this is because I know all I have to do is be myself and I'll be accepted and loved by him. Another thing that you can do to self-regulate is to allow yourself to feel what you are feeling when you feel it. Doing this and not pushing it down actually will alleviate a lot of what you're feeling. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you let yourself feel it and feel it fully, it'll pass before you even know it. But if you push it down and bottle it up, all you're doing is waiting for yourself to explode at a later date. Tip number 4 is to take care of yourself. And this is very simple, but it can be difficult to do. One way that you can take care of yourself is to make sure that you get plenty of sleep. And I know this can be hard, especially if one of your symptoms is insomnia. If insomnia is one of your symptoms, I suggest consulting a doctor about anything that you can do to alleviate this symptom. Another thing that you can do is eat a well-balanced diet. This one is especially hard for me because I have a big sweet tooth, and one thing about eating a balanced diet is to limit your sugar intake, which is especially difficult for me to do. And one of the biggest things that you can do to take care of yourself is to reduce stress. Some ways that you can reduce stress is by meditating, practicing yoga, or journaling. For me, it's the journaling. I journal every day right before bed and check in with myself. How was I feeling that day? How did I do during that day? And if I was feeling any sort of off, I would investigate and figure out why I was feeling off, and then try to figure out a way to alleviate that emotion that I was feeling that day. That's the thing that works best for me. So those are my 4 tips to help you start healing from your trauma. Remember that you can contact me on my Facebook page or on the contact page on thebutterfliesproject.com. And always remember that you are not alone, and I appreciate you. See you next week.